des sciences arts et métiers ISAM organise le concours d'entrée en cycle BTS et HND le 29 juillet 2023 dans les spécialités suivantes: génie civil, génie électrique, commerce, vente, génie informatique, réseau et télécommunications, gestion, études médico-sanitaires, arts et métiers de la culture, information et communication, tourisme et loisirs, sciences et techniques biomédicales, carrière juridique. L'admission au cycle capacité, licence, master, bachelor se fait uniquement sur études de dossier. Notez bien, l'examen débute à 7h30 au campus de Minkan. Pour plus d'informations, contactez-nous sur notre site web www.isam.cm.com ou appelez au 242 718 759 6 72 55 69 69 6 99 74 78 21. ISAM, le choix d'une insertion socio-professionnelle réussie.
La sécurité reste Marriott le jeu pour tout l'hébergement dans nos activités en France. Mario et site Carrefour Saint-Michel, Montpellier.
À 2 minutes pour être national.
Marriott Metropolitan Hotel, plus qu'un hôtel, c'est chez vous, en mieux.
Hello and a warm welcome to the 7 p.m. newscast on Vision Cat Television with me, Solomon Su. Here are today's top stories. The internet is calling out Luis Rubiales, president of the Spanish Football Federation, after he kissed midfielder Jenny Hermoso following the Spanish women's national team's first ever win in the Women's World Cup at the weekend. And Russian President Vladimir Putin has expressed his condolences over the death of Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin, saying he is a man who has achieved many results before his demise. And bike riders in the Douala 4 municipality are scrambling to get their names recorded on the electoral register. Half the reasons for their mad rush for registration in this newscast. Plus, Philip Van Dam, outgoing European Union delegation head to Cameroon, has held cooperation ties between Cameroon and the EU. He was granted an audience today by Minister Louis-Paul Motaze, as you will have it right ahead. And those are the top stories of the 7 p.m. newscast. The news will be yours info when we come back after this short break. Good evening once more, and thanks for joining us on the 7 p.m. newscast. I'm your tonight's host, Solomon Su. The internet is calling out on Luis Rubiales, president of the Spanish Football Federation, after he kissed midfielder Jenny Hermoso following the Spanish women's national team's first ever win in the Women's World Cup at the weekend. Similar situation with Cameroon's sport boss seen in a viral video where he's greeting and scratching the hand of a volleyball lioness in what has been termed by analysts as sexual assault. Diana Joyce Guang has more in the upcoming report.
Spanish Football Federation President Luis Rubiales has apologized for kissing Jenny Hermoso on the lips after Spain won the Women's World Cup. Rubiales kissed the Spain forward during the presentation ceremony following the team's 1-0 win over England in Sunday's final. In an outing that followed the unfortunate incident, the player is reported to have said that she did not appreciate the move, but a statement released later on her behalf defended the Federation's president. Though Rubiales admitted wrongdoing, he justified it, saying that it was the heat of the moment. He has since come under heavy criticism by some Spanish government ministers, the FIFA, but also on social media, where he was called out to resign, though he said he would not do so. The country's equality minister said it was a form of sexual violence women suffer on a daily basis. On the other side of the globe, Cameroon's sports boss has equally been condemned on social media for a handshake turned sexually abusive. He is seen in pictures that have since gone viral on social media, greeting a player and scratching her hand in what many have called a questionable request, judging from the uncomfortable look on the face of the player. Though he has not been called to resign, pundits say that the rapid circulation of his image is an invitation to apologize on the part of the minister. It is far from the first time that a male official coach has been accused of conducting been slammed. Directors have since come out first, saying that if men get away with conduct while the whole world is watching, then one can only imagine what happens when cameras are off. Recent news highlights that sexual harassment is a widespread problem for and women in sports. Current research between 2 and 8% both and adults been sexual abuse by trainers.
And President Vladimir Putin has expressed his condolences over a plane crash that killed Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin, describing him as a man who made mistakes but achieved results in his life. Diana Joyce Guang once more with details in the upcoming report.
Amid questions, Russian President Vladimir Putin finally speaks on the death of Wagner boss Yevgeny Prigozhin. In an outing late Thursday, Putin said that the mercenary had a very complicated way of life and that would have sooner or later led to this kind of death.
I've known Prigozhin for a very long time, since the early 1990s. He was a man of complicated fate, and he made serious mistakes in life, but he achieved the right results, both for himself and, when I asked him about it, for the common cause, as in this last month.
An investigation is currently underway into what caused Wednesday's crash, which came exactly 2 months after the Wagner's short-lived rebellion against Moscow's military leadership. The circumstances of the crash, which claimed the lives of 6 of Prigozhin's close entourage, prompted furious about the situation of President pointing to the president in this death. Prigozhin was on death by a military leader and Russian President Putin him.
Have false intents to inspect on electoral Rex they will impact on the future of Cameroon. His report.
They are queuing in one after the other to get themselves registered on the electoral register. Measure in say decide who will be
register so that can vote because accident register now
process initiated by the right will continue deviations of the They have been looked upon as those who do not have an authoritative voice in the society. They have chosen to register massively so that their votes at the appropriate time will be the authority.
And the outgoing European Union delegation head to Cameroon, Vigil Van Dam, has appreciated cooperation ties with Cameroon, emphasizing on public finance reforms in the country. He was speaking today shortly after an audience with the Minister of Finance, Paul Motaze. Details with staffman Choi Emmanuel.
The farewell audience granted the outgoing European Union ambassador to Cameroon, Philippe Van Dam, by the Minister of Finance, Paul Motaze, was an opportunity for the diplomat to appraise the European Union activities in Cameroon.
We have had an excellent collaboration over the last couple of support management. We were on the development of the French a good example of and
the to Cameroon was very positive with public finance reforms aimed at bettering the collection and effective and efficient use of revenues collected for the well-being of the population.
Of resources, and the broadening of the fiscal basis of the government, and second part, of course, is expenditure and how you can strengthen the efficient and effective use of funds collected.
Despite the positive remarks underscoring the activities of the European Union in Cameroon, it is expected that the European body respects the terms of the Economic Partnership Agreement with Cameroon by paying in their own percentage of what Cameroon is losing in terms of taxes and customs duties.
And in the southwest region, the population of Mimi division in that part of the country have received lessons on the proper use of a mosquito bed net. This was in the presence of the second assistant senior divisional officer for Meme at the Kumba Health District. Gillian Bende completes that story from Kumba.
Treated mosquito bed nets that are used for the protection against mosquito bites that causes malaria are being used for other purposes in Kumba, Meme division of the southwest region of Cameroon. These mosquito bed nets are used in the gardens for the protection of crops against insecticides. The reason for an advocacy meeting convened by the district medical officer, Kumba Health District South, Dr. Nefenda Emmanuel Lenya, in collaboration with the district medical officer, Kumba Health District North, Njembua.
Irrespective of the billions of mosquito nets given out to the public, insofar as the partners and the government continues to see an increase of malaria infection in our children, pregnant women, then there still is a problem.
The meeting brought together the administrative corps, community leaders, quarter heads, rural communities, sensitizing them on government action vis-a-vis partners to carry out a massive distribution of the treated mosquito bed nets with violators tantamount to sanctions. This, however, would help in fighting against malaria, the cause of high morbidity and mortality rates. According to the second assistant Meme Senior Divisional Officer, Madam John Jehemia, sensitizing the population on the advantages and disadvantages of the use of these bed nets is imperative.
But the population is sensitized to tell them the advantages and disadvantages of not using these mosquito nets. I think we would have a low rate of malaria in our society.
The reason the populace is called upon to turn out massively to receive the nets for their safety.
A capacity building workshop to train organizers of persons living with disabilities on the advantages of networking has begun in Douala. The 3-day workshop is organized by UNESCO as Rex Afon now put the gathering into context.
The persons living with disabilities who have come from organizations across the country are here to learn on how to better organize their activities within their different organizations.
This is the second workshop that we are organizing here in Douala. The first one was organized 2 weeks ago, I think, at Bonanjo. And this one is specific to the coordination mechanism, because if people with disability among themselves are not coordinated, they won't go far.
Several persons living with disabilities have been complaining that their rights are being violated daily. Though Cameroon is a signatory to several laws protecting people like this, the effective implementation of these laws is vital.
Cameroon is one of the countries that have rectified the rights of persons with disability, but now there is still a challenge in the area of implementation. It's one thing to rectify it, and it's another thing for the implementation. So we are at the phase where we are struggling to advocate to see how these rights can be respected, to see how they can be implemented by the various service providers, by the various international organizations, UN organizations, and also CSOs that are working in the community.
The participants have said persons living with disabilities should not only be considered as those at the receiving end, but should be looked upon as those who can valuably contribute in all spheres to the development of the country.
Hellenic American University is pleased to announce its partnership with the Institut Supérieur Kalata in Cameroon as its hybrid learning center offering MBA and bachelor's degrees. Students at the Learning Center in Cameroon can access a range of exclusive benefits, including major scholarships and opportunities to engage with visiting faculty and industry leaders, attend special mini-seminars, or complete 1 or 2 semesters at our campuses in Greece or USA if they meet the requirements. Don't miss the opportunity.
And that advertorial on Kalata International Higher Institute obliged us to receive our tonight's guest, Eurolyn Tombu-Piamo, Deputy Director of Academic Affairs at Kalata International Higher Institute. Good evening, Eurolyn, and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Su. Thank you for inviting me once more.
Okay, now before we come back to you, we are going to take this report where children involved in situations of conflict and those found in detention centers in the West region will henceforth see their rights be better protected. Stakeholders of the juvenile justice system of the region are in a capacity building workshop organized by the Ministry of Justice to brainstorm on major actions to be taken in favor of these children. Details with Priska Ngase in the upcoming report.
These are stakeholders of the juvenile justice system in the West region on a capacity building training workshop in Bafoussam. The workshop, organized by the Ministry of Justice and funded by the government of Cameroon within the framework of the Cameroon UNICEF Corporation, aims to improve on the protection of children in conflict and in contact with the law by the stakeholders of the criminal justice system.
We intend to enhance our capacity on handling matters in court that concern minors. You know that it is not just in court that it starts and ends. Each stakeholder has a role to play from the time the matter is investigated to the time the matter is filed in court for hearing.
The Procureur General, the Attorney General of the West Regional Court of Appeal, on behalf of the Minister of State, Minister of Justice and Keeper of the Seals, presided over the opening ceremony of the workshop. Themes discussed at the workshop revolved around juvenile justice and human rights. This was timely considering statistics of children found in prisons, police and gendarmerie custody, and those involved in armed conflicts. Statistics show that over 900 children are facing legal charges in the West region. Recommendations at the end of the workshop are expected to be in favor of these children.
On set with me for a while now is Eurolyn Tombu-Piamo, Deputy Director of Academic Affairs, Kalata International Higher Institute. Eurolyn Tombu-Piamo, you are once more welcome on set.
Thank you.
Now, what does Kalata, as a resume now, that's briefly present to us what Kalata is all about.
Okay, thank you for the question. Kalata International Higher Institute is an international school, purely bilingual. And the school is legally recognized by the Ministry of Higher Education and the Ministry of Employment and Vocational Training. The school is a private institute in Cameroon, and we do offer training program for the HND, the Professional Bachelor's Degree, and the Professional Master's Degree program, or the MBA programs. In disciplines like we have management studies for all those interested in management. We have accountancy, we have banking and finance, we have insurance, transport and logistics. And the next step of that is people interested in computer engineering. We can offer training for those interested in computer engineering, hardware maintenance, we have software engineering, we have network and telecommunication, and all what concerns the legal studies.
And now, what are the advantages of studying in Kalata Higher International Institute?
Good. Yes, Kalata International Higher Institute is a unique school, and all the benefit you enjoy from Kalata, you won't see it somewhere else, because all what concerns good quality training, you can get it at Kalata. All what concerns getting internships opportunity, getting jobs opportunities, voluntary activities, civic work, it is well possible at Kalata International Higher Institute. If you need a scholarship abroad, you can get it from Kalata International Institute, because we have a set of international partners with which we work, actually we collaborate, in countries like Canada, United States of America. We have France, we have Greece, Ireland, and also New Zealand, plus Japan and China. And this set of partnerships permits students of Kalata to go abroad to continue with their studies. I will take an example of one of our partners, Hellenic American University. So Hellenic American University is an American university that collaborates with Kalata in such a way that students that register for that program, they have 2 years studies in Cameroon. The third year, they fulfill it abroad. So they have the third year in the United States of America, where they get their professional bachelor's degree.
Now we know that when somebody is already involved in higher education, you will not generally have time for the schedules. That's the morning shift or the morning to straight to the evening shifts. So you have certain shifts that are appropriate for people who are a little bit busy during the day?
Yes. Kalata International Higher Institute has 2 types of shift. We have the day shift and the evening shift. For the day shift is mostly concerned with those that just graduated for the GCE A level, or the people that had their GCE 5 years ago, 2 years ago, it depends. We also have the evening shift for workers, those that can't do that can't come to school within the day. They can work within the day, and in the evening they come to Kalata. The place is really secured. We have video cameras there. You access the building through 2 elevators. It means that
it is assured security in Kalata International Higher Institute. Now, one last thing, we are going to take this. You talked of students who just graduated from the secondary education. That's people who just have the advanced level or the baccalaureate, since it is a school of a bilingual school. Is it only meant for people who just obtained the advanced levels, or those who have HNDs and other diplomas can come to Kalata? Yes, we are inviting Cameroonians, whether you had your GCE, you just had your GCE, or you had it 2 years, 3 years, 5 years ago, you can still come to Kalata. The program we are actually we are presenting to Cameroonians is actually a very external program, a very
It's convenient for all the Cameroonians because we think that you can have your GCE 5 years ago, you engage in a particular training. Meanwhile, you no longer like it or you are not meant for that career.
Yeah.
You can still come to Karata, we discuss together and see how we can reorientate you for your next future life career.
Yulin Tomopiamo, Deputy Director of Academic Affairs, Kalata International Higher Institute, thanks for coming to share with us on the 7 p.m. newscast on Visionka Television.
Thanks too for inviting me. I would like to call the Cameroonians and people worldwide to come for our orientation workshops, which start from the 9th of September. So each Saturday of the month of September, we have orientation workshops. And the school resumes on the 9th of October 2023. Come to Kalata, get oriented, and make your dream comes to reality. Thank you.
Your message has not fallen into deaf ear. Thanks once more for coming to share with us.
Thank you.
Now we are going to close this edition of the newscast with this piece of information where over 50 children aged between 7 and 16 in Bamenda have completed phase 1 training in first aid and basic intervention in the firefighting domain. The young firefighters displayed their skills in front of their parents at the end of this stage, as you tell us, Rex Afon, in your upcoming report.
After 2 complete months of preliminary training on first aid and basic intervention, the young firefighters say they have acquired some skills which they can use to salvage some emergency situations.
And here they taught us how to give first aid to people, like to prevent them from further injury. For example, if someone collapses on the street, I can simply try to remove the person from the road and try to give the person, put the person on a lateral recovery position and call for the 118 and just wait for the ambulance.
Though they now know how fire is extinguished, they are not competent enough to intervene in all situations.
The fire, there are some, it depends on the fire. If it's like a serious fire, you just call the ambulance. If it's like minimum fire, then fire wants to start from the gas. There are methods that you can use. Like the first method, you can simply off the gas. While the third method, you simply use your finger and block where the gas is coming out.
The last time young firefighters had a training like this in Bamenda was in 2018. The commander of the firefighting brigade in Bamenda says these children will effectively act as full-time firefighters after going through this training for 6 years.
We are just initiating them. We tell them what to do. They already know what to do, but growing, since it will take about 6 years, while growing, they will perfect themselves, and I think they will be able to save the person even on the road.
Several parents came to watch their children display what they have acquired for the past 2 months. They are satisfied and hope that the children will use the skills valuably at the service of the local population.
And it is here that we draw the curtains on today's edition of the 7 p.m. newscast on Visionka Television, in which you heard that the internet is calling out Luis Rubiales, president of the Spanish Football Federation, after he kissed midfielder Jenny Hermoso following the Spanish women's national team's first ever win in the Women's World Cup during the weekend. And Russian President Vladimir Putin has expressed his condolences over the death of Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin, saying he is a man who achieved many results before his demise. And bike riders in the Douala 4 municipality are scrambling to get their names recorded on the electoral register. You heard in this newscast the reasons why there are mad rush for the registration. And Philip Van Dam, outgoing European Union delegation head to Cameroon, has held cooperation ties between Cameroon and the AU. He was granted an audience today at the Ministry of Finance by Minister Louis Paul Motaze. Join Chimène Baliba at 8 p.m. for the news in the French language. I will be in your company tomorrow for the news in the English language at exactly 7 p.m. But until then, it's goodbye from the 7 p.m. crew.
C'est toi qui donne, ah oui papa, je ne peux rien sans toi. Dans ma famille, dans mon boulot, même quand je dors, tu penses à moi. Mais si tu pries, il va t'exaucer. Oh, oh, oh.
Akman maliki wabuni ati emni anga tola bwan bezamba bete abundomen samsmot zen masong yanyu batuga bumyeme na satana fiana loto anga man fimi bambe wabunga bauna aman buloma no biva asuni sumusi ati ubube yonga baya mtongo ya sumana ili tarifa ni mitare yakin unaweza dana na yorona mazona mekiao mazona mekiao mazona mekiao mekiao mazona mekiao mazona mekiao mazona mekiao Dang duri mama ngabe abele bi boala binangi nyingi boala nzwang abel keli kop ngalefi abel fanso matolok abiti na mame boya be